Last Sentinel of Ashenvale. The moon hung lower over Ashenvale, its silver glow filtering through the ancient canopy like a gentle blessing from Elune herself. For most travelers, the forest at night was a place of unease, alive with whispering leaves, shifting shadows, and eyes that watched from treetops. But for the night elf sentinel, Lyrandel Starshade, this was home. Every sound was familiar, every tremor meaningful. The forest spoke, and she listened. Lyrandel has served the Sentinels for nearly a century, young for a kaldorei, but seasoned enough to know that peace in Ashenvale rarely lasted. Since the cataclysm, the forest had been wounded. Since the Horde's march, it had bled. And since the burning of Teldrassil, it had learned grief deeper than its roots. Tonight, however, something was different. Even the wind felt tense, holding its breath. Lyrandel crouched on a high branch, overlooking the path to Astronar. Her panther companion, Shadowpaw, pressed close beside her, ears twitching. The beast sensed it too, a presence that did not belong here. "Easy," she whispered, resting a hand on his flank. "Let's see who disturbs our forest tonight." Below, faint torchlight flickered between the trees. For a moment she expected to see the crude banners of the Horde, another war band pushing deeper into the Night Elf homeland, but instead she saw only three figures, hooded and cloaked, moving as silently as ghosts. Not Horde, not Alliance, something else. The trio halted at a small clearing. One of them knelt, revealing a satchel covered in faint arcane sigils. When he opened it, the force shuddered. A cold, unnatural pulse rippled outward, and Lyrandel's breath caught. Void energy. She leapt from the branch, landing softly with the grace of her people. Shadowpaw prowled at her side, teeth bared. The hooded figures whirled around, hands glowing with a dark magic. "You do not belong here," Lyrandel declared, glaive spinning to her hand. "State your purpose before I end this intrusion." The lead figure laughed, a hollow, echoing sound. "We are the harbingers of renewal. Ashenvale's age is over. The void will reclaim what your kind has failed to protect." Lyrandel didn't wait for more. She charged. The battle was swift but fierce. The cultists wielded magic that twisted the air, tearing at her senses. One launched a bolt of pure void that grazed her shoulder, sending agony through her body like the burning frost. Shadowpaw pounced on another, pinning him with brutal efficiency. But even as they felt, the kneeling cultist completed his task. The sigils on the satchel blazed with sickly purple light, and the ground split open. A rift tore through the earth like a wound, pulsing, expanding. From within came whispers, many voices, all wrong, all hungry. Lyrandel stumbled backward. This was no simple cult ritual. This was an invitation, and someone on the other side was answering. "I must warn Astronar," she breathed. But as she turned to run, a tendril of void lashed out, anchoring itself to the forest floor. The rift expanded, reshaping into a jagged tear. A monstrous shape pushed through. Path shadow, path flesh, all malevolence. A void revenant. Ashenvale had never faced such a creature. Lyrandel knew she could not outrun it. If she fled, the village would be destroyed. If she fought alone, she may not survive. She placed a hand on Shadowpaw's head. "Go! Alert the sentinels!" The panther whined softly, unwilling to leave her side. "Go!" she commanded, and with one reluctant look, he sprinted into the trees. The revenant rose to its full height, towering over her. Tendrils swayed like serpents, dripping with concentrated madness. Its form distorted the forest around it, bark peeling, flowers withering, the very air warping. Lyrandel tightened her grip on the glaive. "By Elune," she whispered, "I stand." The creature's first strike slammed into the ground, sending her tumbling. She rolled, dodging a second blow, then sliced a tendril clean off. The severed piece dissolving into shrieking shadows. But with every wound she inflicted, the creature adapted, shifting its form, becoming more terrible. The rift pulses again. More were coming. This couldn't continue. She had to seal the rift. Channeling every last drop of her priestess training, she called upon the moon goddess. Pale light enveloped her weapon, then the entire body. The revenant recoiled, shrieking, "Elune, guide me!" She dashed forward, leaping onto the monster's arm and climbing up its shifting limbs. It thrashed, but moonlight shielded her from the worst of its assault. With a final cry, she plunged her glaive straight into the core, where shadow met flesh. A burst of pure lunar brilliance erupted, blasting the remnant apart in a storm of fading darkness. The explosion knocked Lyrandel to the ground. She gasped for breath, rising to her knees. The rift flickered violently, destabilized but still open. She could already hear distant screeches from the other side. She had only one chance. Drained, wounded, but resolute, she began the ancient sealing ritual. Words passed down from priestess to priestess since the War of the Ancients. Her voice trembled, but gained strength with every verse. Moonlight poured from her hands, weaving around the rift like silver threads. The shadows fought back, lashing out, but she held firm. Her vision blurred, her heartbeat slowed. Just a little more. With a final whisper, she thrust her hands forward. The threads tightened, intertwined, and the rift closed with a thunderous shockwave. Silence fell. Only the whisper of the Ashenvale breeze remained. Moments later, Shadowpawn returned with a squad of sentinels, but they found Lyrandel collapsed, unconscious, her glaive glowing faintly beside her. The forest around her, once stained, now shimmered with soft lunar radiance. She survived, barely. And in the days that followed, word spread across Kalimdor of the Sentinel who single-handedly stopped a void incursion. She was honored not only by her sisters, but by the druids, by the priestesses of Elune, and even by the forest spirits themselves. Lyrandel Starshade has become something more than a sentinel, more than a protector, more than a survivor. She had become the last sentinel of Ashenvale, the one who stood when no one else could, and proved that even in the darkest hour, the light of Elune never truly fades.